What's up, guys? Welcome to BFR Tuesday. My name's Cara. I'm your, host. I've been doing this now for a few years. Here to answer any questions that I can about blood flow restriction training or anything else. If you have questions around rehabilitation or anything like that. So I just, in your chat section, your upper right corner, you can just type in your question. So hello from Dallas. All right, Cam, having issues getting LLP with my Smart Cuffs Pro. Okay, so a couple troubleshooting things. I'm guessing lower extremity. Is that true? Upper extremity, okay. For you or for someone else? Okay, if it keeps inflating and deflating, make sure that it's fully charged. I would also I would make sure that it's fully charged, number one. Number two, when you're putting the cuff on, make sure it's high up on the arm and it's as tight as you can make it to start. Okay, so get it super tight. Have the stem facing forward, and then that way you can just easily plug in. But make sure it's super tight first, and then if you're having trouble, lay down and get it in a non weight bearing position. So then that way it's not having to work as hard, and then see if you can get it from there. And then if you're still having trouble, let's make sure that you're using, I'm assuming you're using a small cuff for your upper extremity. Okay, so usually it's one of two things, especially in the upper extremity. Not tight enough to start, so there's a lot of slack in it, and it's not able to find the limb occlusion because it has to inflate too much. And number two, it's the battery is not fully charged. Is it fully charged? Okay. That should be right. Start arm personal pressure, and it's fully charged. Okay, try non-weight bearing and see if you can get it, and just make sure that the cuff is all the way up on the arm and it's super tight to start. Try that right now if you can, and then let me know how that goes. I'm gonna grab mine just so I can. So I'm going to plug it in. I already know it's pretty much as tight as I can get it. I'm going to relax my arm fully. Start exercise, arm, and then personal pressure. Is that what you're doing? Yeah, personal pressure. Just choose a low LOP, choose 30% to start. That's what I'm choosing. And then I'm just gonna let it inflate. Okay, so it found it. And then it's going to reinflate to the 30% because that's what I originally chose. Okay, and then write down your LOP. Mine was 197. And so I can use that calculation then for doing just a manual start next time. So that way I don't have to spend that whole time getting my LOP. So we'll call it 200. If I work at 50%, I can just go to 100. I could go to 99. 24. Yeah, that's impossible. So we send an email to sales@smarttoolsplus.com. There's something wrong. All right, yeah, sorry, I don't know what's going on with it. One other thing you could check is make sure that it's on the most recent firmware. And if you are having trouble figuring out how to update the firmware, I have a video of that on my YouTube channel, which you should be able to just find under, I think it's just under Cara, pretty sure. See if I can send a link to that. Here's a link to updating the firmware. I'm on, I just checked mine I think it was last week. Let's see, 2.1.0. So that YouTube channel demonstrates how to update the firmware. Hopefully that helps. All right. Anybody else have any questions for me today regarding anything BFR 2.0? Yeah, you're on the right firmware, Cam. You're doing everything right. It sounds like there's something wrong. Something's not right with the pump. Especially if you tried with the cuff to tighten it as much as you could. That's the most common thing I see. It's not tight enough and there's too much slack. Just for everybody else, when you tighten the cuff, you shouldn't be able to get more than like one finger underneath there. Otherwise, there's too much slack. And if the cuff is still showing up too big, like you have pretty narrow arms, then using like a shirt or something underneath it will fill in a little bit of that gap, and it should be enough. to make sure that it can get LOP. All right, any other questions? All right. Show pretty interesting. So we've been doing our BFR level 2. Question from Doug. Is there any reason that a 75-year-old can't use BFR as a primary strength source, especially a really in shape and in competition type person? No, not at all. As long as you don't have any contraindications to BFR, there's no reason not to use it as your primary strength source. Tonight we're doing second week of BFR level 2, which is our performance course. And I'm just going to share some kind of cool stuff. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so you should see my screen. Okay. All right, so one of the topics that we're covering tonight is using BFR as a warm-up. And when you're doing that, what you're wanting to do is you don't want to fatigue yourself totally out. You don't want to have to recover from your warm-up because you did too much work. But you're wanting to really start to warm up your type 2 fibers, which we normally don't get to unless we do fatigue out most of the type 1s. So the recommendation for a BFR warm-up, fix that while I'm here. Number 1, use lower pressures and light loads. So you're going to use like upper extremity. You could probably start off as low as 30%, 35%, 40%. If you're using a Gen 3 cuff, just the smart cuff, not the pro version, just use the lowest setting. Do it on both sides. You can either do it in the upper extremity or you can do it in the lower extremity. Use 15 reps or 30 seconds for each exercise. So you can, I do have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel with how to do an example of an upper extremity, lower extremity. There's no right answer or wrong answer. It's just a matter of spending about 15 minutes getting the body warmed up. And I don't use any resistance at all. It's just pure body weight stuff. And then perform 15 minutes of a mixture or a dynamic exercise, either as a whole body or upper or lower, depending on the activities. So if you're doing an upper body lift day or doing upper body activity, and you only want to do upper body warm up, I would understand, just do upper body warm up. Or lower body, just do lower body warm up. Or you could do a combination, 7 minutes or 7.5 minutes in the lower extremity, 7.5 minutes in the upper extremity. Then take about a 5-minute rest before getting into your workout. The reason that we use light pressures, this study right here by Fatella et al., they compared peripheral fatigue, meaning fatigue in the limbs that the cuffs are on via EMG after 40%, 60%, 80% limb occlusion pressure, found 40 and 60% had no peripheral fatigue at 5 minutes post-exercise. No peripheral fatigue after they did a full 30, 15, 15, 15 repetition scheme. So what that tells me is that you're just going to be turning on those type 2 fibers. You're not going to be fully fatiguing, and that 5-minute rest after you do your warm-up should be enough to get you ready, and so you can get out there and perform well. If you try the warm-up on my YouTube channel, it's pretty good. Like it'll get you cooking a little bit. And by the time you're done with your upper, you're really ready to get to the lower, or vice versa. So that's what I wanted to share today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at edlacara.com. I'm right at 15 minutes, which is about all I like to spend answering questions. And if you have any other things, my email is ed@edlacara.com. All right. Yeah, Paul, that's what that is an update. The video link is a video to update the firmware. That is correct. Michael, can one use BFR training, lower extremity, for sprint track cycling training on a stationary bike? High intensity, short duration intervals. Yes, there's multiple protocols. In my level 2 course, I teach those. I will be teaching that in about 2 weeks, I think, 3 weeks. And what I can do is I can share some of the stuff that I'll be teaching that night. I just don't have it prepared in front of me, and it'll take me too long to look it all up. One of the more used protocols is you start with BFR for where you do a warm up on the bike without your cuffs, and then you go 30 seconds as hard as you can on the erg. You jump off, you put the cuffs on, you inflate to 80% limb occlusion pressure. Then you keep them inflated for 2 minutes. Then after 2 minutes, you deflate and you wait 2 minutes. And then you jump back on and you do a second round. You do 5 rounds twice the first week, 6 rounds the second week, 7 rounds the third week, 8 rounds the fourth week. And I believe that study they did, I can't remember if they did 4 weeks or 6 weeks, but it increased VO2, it increased, I believe it, on testing, I'll be able to tell you more. I'm not gonna say it unless I'm positive. Michael, twice per week. So, so you do 5 sprints twice per week, week 1. 6 sprints twice per week, week 2. 7 sprints twice per week, week 3. 8 sprints twice per week, week 4. I want to say that's all they went up to was week 4, and it's 5-minute warm-up, then 30-second all-out sprint with jump off bike, inflate to 80% LOP, and lay down for 2 minutes. Deflate for 2 minutes, and repeat that for the 5 sprints, and then the 6 sprints, and then the 7 sprints, and then the 8 sprints. So hopefully that helps. But in 2 weeks, I'll lay that out much clearer, maybe in something more organized. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.